Low-rise jeans, visor sunglasses, Tuscan kitchens, frosted lipstick, and physical media as decor. Wait, did we just time travel back to 2003? No, these are not only things that are making a comeback, but they're actually considered stylish today. For reasons that can probably only be explained by collective nostalgia and TikTok algorithms, the 2000s have returned from the design graveyard, so I thought we'd do a deep dive into why that actually is. Millennials spent years mocking their parents' Tuscan kitchens, but now Gen Z are pinning warm Tuscan interiors to mood boards in an unironic way. As an interior designer, watching trends return is really fascinating to me, so today we're diving into the great Y2K revival. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Jacqueline, I'm an interior designer with a background in interior architecture, and here we talk about interior design, home decor, if you hadn't already guessed, art and even architecture, so let's jump in. Now, I don't know about you, but I didn't see any warning signs to this. It was only until I saw lots of young people willingly wearing low-rise jeans that I realised, oh, one, I'm old, and two, the 2000s are coming back. Millennials may have just laughed and thought, oh, Gen Z are trying to be 2003 Paris Hilton, but as an interior designer, I knew the terrifying truth, that is, fashion is the ultimate influence for interior design. I've talked about this before on the channel, how fashion and interiors go hand in hand. For example, how beige fashion has led to beige homes. Or take the first Elizabethan era, where the motto was clearly, if your fashion is not trying to suffocate you, you're doing it wrong. And naturally, they demanded that their homes matched that exact same chaotic energy. Dutch gables and chimney stacks doing the absolute most, while the interiors boasted heavy dust-collecting tapestries, massive fireplaces, and moulded plaster ceilings. Can you imagine Elizabeth I in a beige Lululemon set with that ornate interior? Yeah, it doesn't quite go, does it? The trend cycle is a ruthless ecosystem, and whatever dominates the runways always infiltrates our living spaces a few seasons on, and that's exactly what's going on now, albeit I would say that we're kind of at the start. If you've stumbled into a clothes shop recently, I'm going to bet that you've seen low-rise jeans. They weren't a mirage or a nightmare you had, it was very much reality. 2000s fashion is undoubtedly back, and I'm not even mad about it. But before you self-combust, I'll explain why. And I don't want to get too political here, but even early 2000s body sizes are back. Yeah, which is obviously concerning, but it is eerily a fact. With the Y2K trend coming back around, funnily enough, I've even been thinking about refreshing my wardrobe with 2000s pieces. And no, not pieces like this, not that kind of style, but more so think Roberto Cavalli 2001 or Escada in the 2000s. If you know, you know. And I guess Zara Larsson is to blame for that, but honestly, I'm just sick of beige hysteria in fashion and very curated feeds, and honestly, the colour analysis trend. Because let me tell you, I'll hold my hands up and say that I'm the first person who was influenced by the colour analysis trend and only buying colours that match your skin tone and all that jazz. I have quite literally got fashion fatigue when it comes to colour analysis. And I'm not saying that it doesn't work or anything, I've just come to the point where I don't care. I've come to the conclusion that I just want to wear pieces and makeup that make me feel alive, and I don't particularly want to spend my whole life worrying if a certain colour or metal suits me or not. I just want fashion to reflect my personality and be fun and vibrant, and I really think that's why the 2000s fashion style is making a comeback, because it heavily relied on colourful patterns and embellishments like sequins and rhinestones, which is quite literally the opposite to all the beige, clean girl look we've seen in the 2020s. So I think we'll be seeing a lot more personality over perfection that's just all in all a bit more human. I think as a society, we've almost eradicated the sense of being authentic, and I think that's what a lot of people are craving. So I think that's the general consensus from many of us, myself included. We just want to have fun again. We have quite literally been starved of having fun.
No one's fun anymore! Whatever happened to fun? God, I'm so bored I could die.
But my point with all of this is that it's not just patterns, huge sunglasses, or halter-neck rhinestone tops anymore. It's infiltrating back into our home decor as well. But why is that? In the design world, we're haunted by something called the 20-year rule, and it's not really so much as a design principle, but more so an inescapable time bomb where aesthetics from 20 years ago come back around and kind of rebrand themselves. And like clockwork, the fashion pendulum is currently swinging backwards, away from sterile, hyper-minimalist aesthetics we've endured for the last 10 years, straight into the chaotic textured arms of the early 2000s. So there really is a 20-year rule, but I also think that nostalgia also has a lot to do with it. Nostalgia is peaking right now because, let's face it, the future currently looks incredibly bleak. We're living in an era where there's just a lot going on, and we can quite literally predict the future now. So with all of that, there's kind of this low-level hum of existential dread, and because of that, I can totally see how people are yearning for a time where the biggest global threat was the Y2K bug and keeping their Tamagotchis alive. A time where the term greenhouse gases were only just being mentioned. Let that sink in. I'm of course not saying that things weren't also bad then too, but I really do think that there was this sense of optimism towards the future, a unique cocktail of economic prosperity, pop culture, the internet, and technological developments. People thought that it would catapult us into a high-tech future filled with bliss once the new millennium hit. And I think that same kind of optimism is honestly extinct today. Not to sound too bloody cynical. Talking about economics, Jenna Barkley does a great video on the correlation between fashion and the 2008 recession, and I'll leave that down in the description in case you want to watch it. But this brings us to post-pandemic escapism and Gen Z's deeply romanticized analog obsession. And to be honest, even older Gen Alphas. After spending the better part of the global lockdown trapped inside their sad beige, or millennial grey, flats, staring at their phones and TVs, the younger generation are craving a pre-smartphone sanctuary. And a lot of Gen Z have actually never experienced a world without technology. They don't want sleek, invisible, smart home integration or furniture that looks like it belongs in a plastic surgeon's office. What I'm finding is that they're actually wanting heavy physical media, clunky velvet seating, and colour combos that would make a millennial faint. When your whole world, I guess, has been a relentless beige dystopia, no one wants to come home to a cold, greige box. They want to live in a cozy, overstimulating, Tuscan-themed kitchen that smells like a vanilla cupcake Yankee candle. That's where we're at. As a side note, if you're enjoying the video so far, please leave a like and hype the video. I really appreciate that. And if you want to connect and support us even further, think about joining our membership. So let's address the elephant in the room, the return of the Tuscan kitchen. Or Tuscan homes in general, really. The other day on Instagram, I saw that someone bought a typical 2000s Tuscan home and they were asking people how to renovate it. And the comments were overwhelmingly telling them not to renovate it at all. For years, I think that society has been eradicating dark cherry wood cabinetry, heavy wrought iron chandeliers, and mottled granite countertops. But now people are looking at their bright, efficient kitchens and saying, no, I want to make it feel like I'm cooking inside a cavernous Olive Garden in 2004. We did have Tuscan homes in the UK, but it was usually only larger homes, but absolutely nowhere near to the extent that I've seen in North America. And that's coming from a girl who binged watched MTV Cribs growing up. It certainly was the aspirational style, considered the most luxurious of the early 2000s for sure. But over time they just lost their appeal as we moved towards cleaner, more minimalist aesthetics, and they were deemed garish even, I'd say. But that being said, because of this kind of collective dislike towards sad beige interiors, this over-the-top style is coming back because people are craving details and are just sick of boring spatial design. This kind of McMansion aesthetic, I kind of think anyway, with its columns, stone backsplashes and beige on beige travertine, is being romanticised by a generation that have never had to figure out how to clean dust off of glass grapes. And mum and dad, if you're watching, go dust your glass grapes because they have them too, everyone. But if we're being completely fair, aside all of the 2004 kind of drama, the core of the Tuscan revival is all about bringing back rich textures, warm wood tones, and an undeniable sense of soul and comfort that white kitchens and homes even have been completely starved of. If you remember your mum, or maybe it was yourself, stenciling a design onto your walls during this period, well, that's actually not coming back, but wall textures are. Before you get flashbacks of going absolutely feral with a sea sponge and 3 shades of mustard paint from your local DIY shop, you can relax, don't worry. To an extent. But instead, the design world has decided to rebrand this urge to texturize walls as lime plastering. I'm sure you've seen it everywhere at the moment. It looks like a rustic villa in Tuscany. Coincidence? I think not. I've seen lime plastering everywhere for the past year, I'd say. But let's be entirely real, it is scratching that exact same primal early 2000s itch to have walls that stand out. We just replaced the cheap DIY sponge trauma with an insanely expensive plaster job. But that being said, I have actually seen lots of DIY versions to create this lime plaster effect as well, using paint. So maybe we will see some other kind of sponge painting again and wall treatments. As I already mentioned, physical copies of media are coming back. But for years now, we've tried to hide technology, so much so it even has a name, smart home, and I think that kind of embodies this idea. Well, massive wall-swallowing entertainment centres and physical media storage units are making a triumphant return, however big or small. With the streaming services we have, hiking up prices and actually deleting content, people are proudly displaying their CDs and DVDs as if they're prized artifacts. If you're a self-confessed minimalist, I'm sorry to make you hyperventilate. We also can't ignore the slow resurrection of shabby chic and chintzy interiors. But this time around, it's kind of being bundled into what the internet's calling the Nancy Meyers aesthetic. I think people have been drawn to Nancy Meyers and John Huttman's set design because it really felt homey with the combination of so many different textures, patterns, furniture styles and metals. That's really why people like this style in my opinion. People want their homes to look like a 2000s rom-com, surrounded by slip-covered sofas, patterned cushions and wicker baskets. The move towards chintzy florals and mismatched textiles are a direct rebellion of the clean, clinical perfection we've experienced in the 2010s and the 2020s. This style really makes me want to sing This Kiss by Faith Hill. I don't know why. Then we have the absolute chokehold that colourful two-toned painted walls have. We're talking about colour combinations that were the epitome of the early 2000s. Chocolate brown paired with baby blue or the blinding assault of lime green and hot pink. I haven't seen hot pink and black return just yet. If I do find any photos, I'll put them in here. And I've seen those iconic 2000s swirly patterns, wave decals and geometric wall graphics stuck on walls as well. It's definitely juvenile, so I don't think that millennials or older generations will be implementing it in their homes, but if you have a teenager, I'd love to know your perspective on this, or if you're a teenager watching this as well. Gen Z are also plastering movie posters all over their walls again too, and you can definitely tell that they're trying to turn their bedrooms into a 2000s teen drama, one that Brooke Davis would approve of. But it's really these colour combinations that I've not seen in years making their way back in fashion and interiors. As for my future predictions, we haven't quite hit the peak tech optimism of Frutiger Aero interiors. Think glossy textures, digital water drops and translucent blues. But the Y2K wave is just warming up, so give this one some time. And God help us, I'm officially calling it, squeaky inflatable furniture is lurking on the horizon. My thighs are not prepared for that. And if inflatable chairs are in the not so distant future, it won't be long until lava lamps are back too. Yeah. I wholeheartedly think that this Y2K comeback is a collective cry for optimism and playfulness in interiors, and design as a whole really. But what do you think about the 2000s coming back? I'd love to know, and let me know how you designed your home in the 2000s as well. Please leave a like and hype the video if you enjoyed it. I really appreciate that, and it really does help to grow the channel. And if you need help fulfilling your own design dreams, I've left our website in the description. If you want to keep the design inspiration flowing though, I'll leave a video on the next part that I think you'll enjoy. But that's it for today's video guys, I'll see you soon. Bye!